Call to order the February 6, 2023 meeting for the Wayne County Commissioners. If we would ask Brother Fred to say a prayer for us, and Mayor Ralph Hickox, if you will, lead us through the pledge, please.
Let's pray. Most holy God, Lord, we submit ourselves before you. God, we repent of our evil ways. We humble ourselves, and we ask that you heal our land.
Yes.
God, we know that you and you alone can do that. God, we lift up these commissioners, these elected officials, and pray, Lord, that you give them wisdom and discernment and guidance. Lord, that they would operate with integrity and respect and honor. And God, that you would protect their families and guide their families. God, we pray that your sovereign will would be done for Wayne County. And Lord, the decisions that are made in this room, God, would honor the people of Wayne County.
Yes, Lord.
And bring you glory and honor, Father.
Yes,
Because, Lord, we know what you require of us. To do justly, to love mercy,
yes,
and to walk
yes.
humbly with you, God.
Yes.
And so we pray that everything that's said and done will bring you glory and honor. Lord, give us peace, we pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Hands on the heart, let's start playing. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, play ball.
Thank you all for coming. Got a big turnout. Commissioner Hopkins wants, or no, the sheriff was wanting to start selling tickets. All right, we're going to start with the adoption of the agenda. I think everything is in order. Does anybody have a problem with the agenda the way it's set?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the board on old items, old business, number 7 under C, consider approval of Hardy Georgia RC third-party member. I would ask the board to please table that until we can iron out some of the things, because the Region Commission Board has taken the position that that was against the laws of the Region Commission, the state of Georgia law, and that that position is a nonpartisan position, which you all stated that you wanted somebody in there conservative. So I wish that you would reconsider that, because I would hate for the county to be caught up in a lawsuit. As a result of that, I have given you a letter from the director of the Region Commission, and it states that what you can appoint people for and what they can be unappointed for, and those reasons are outlined. And none of that has anything to do with price. As a matter of fact, at the end here of the letter from Executive Director Mr. Manning, it says that it should also be noted that appointments to the Region Commission should be nonpartisan. The individual should be someone who will make a commitment to represent their local community by attending the Region Commission meetings and participating accordingly. Before that, it outlines in the letter that a person could, one, the reason they could leave the board is by death, or someone resigning for reasons, personal reasons, or someone's moved. Other than that, those persons will serve their term, and then you would appoint somebody else after that person gets off. Like all the other appointments we make to other boards, those people serve their term, and then after that term, we reappoint somebody else, or that person again. Out of all the appointments we made last year, you rescinded the Region Commission appointment of Mr. A. Tyrone Johnson, who has done an outstanding job. He even gave a testimony at the City Commission meeting on behalf of the city, on behalf of Mayor Hickok, about the TIP projects, and that money can be used only for what the citizens voted it for. So he has expertise. And Mr. Johnson, as myself, is highly educated. He came home to, like I did, to take care of his mother, and that's what he's doing, same as I did after I was home the year she passed. But we're talking about a person who's Columbia University graduate, Harvard graduate, and he's come home to use his talents and his education to help his community, and that's what he's doing. So why would we take him off the board, and he's doing a good job? He's already added to the region and to the county of soliciting thousands of dollars to help our constituents, and probably had nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, in my appointments, I appointed the chairman of the Republican Party to the Industrial Party Board. It had nothing to do. I thought he was the right person. I thought he was a astute businessman, and that he would help Wayne County, and he's still serving on it. So,
You unappointed him.
what?
You unappointed him.
He's still on there. There's two positions. The position that's a voted position, he's still on there, and he will continue to be on there.
And you unappointed him for the,
On one position,
Yes, sir.
that was a position that non-voting. There's two different boards.
Okay.
Chairman,
So-
Chairman expired.
The item that we have on here is to appoint a third-party member. It's not rescinding it or anything like that, so that's what we have
He
on
had
here.
served his term.
It's already been rescinded at the last meeting, so all we're doing on this one is
The Region
appointing.
Commission has not received notification. He's still serving, and we don't recognize him.
We, according to our lawyer, we are abiding by our bylaws in what we did at the last meeting, and that is not on the agenda for this meeting. So I don't think we need to table this. We need to go ahead and make the appointment. And I stated at the last meeting, if anybody had any issues with the items on the agenda, to please call me. I think Madam Clerk did the same thing. Nobody called me about this.
Tell you about what?
If you had any question about things on the agenda.
That's
And
why I'm-
we were given this paper right here at the beginning of the
That's
meeting,
why I'm
which
bringing
does
it-
not
that's
pertain
why
to
I'm bringing
making
it
an
up now,
appointment.
Because you said questions on the agenda. I wanted to bring it now, so
I make a motion that we accept the agenda as it is laid out.
everybody can be transparent.
So, second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
No.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Okay, next is to approve the minutes from the January the 11th called meeting and the January 17th. I assume that everybody's had a chance to read over those minutes.
Yes, sir. On the minutes from January 11th, the first paragraph, Commissioner McCary stated that he would like the agenda to be, to remove, and it says move. Can you change that one word to remove?
Other than that, do we have any?
Also, Mr. Chairman, on the paragraph where the motion was made by Mr. Gordon and second by Ms. Hickok to rescind Mr. A. Tyrone Johnson, and the motion was made, I would like for the minutes to show that Ms. Hickok said that she wanted a person on there that was Republican.
I did not say that.
Conservative. You said you want a person that's conservative. That's the language you use, conservative person.
I did. I said conservative. I would like it
Right.
conservative.
Conservative, which
Yes.
means,
Which means conservative.
no, it's
Oh,
non-partisan.
conservative no longer means conservative.
It's non-partisan. Well,
Okay.
Mr. Johnson is conservative.
Oh,
So am I.
okay.
Does anybody have a problem with that change to conservative?
No, I have no problem with the word conservative.
Any other change? changes? I make a motion that we pass the minutes for January the 11th and January the 17th. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
That is with the changes, right?
Yes.
With- Okay.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is public meetings, bands, barbecue, beer, and wine license. Is there anybody here to speak up against or for that? Okay. Old business, we have considered and approved election board through legislation. Mr. Beaver, I believe this is just the final draft of that legislation that we sent up before, is that correct?
Well, it is the draft. So they sent a draft down here for the board to approve. I got the amendments from you to change that, I think, a week and a half ago. I believe I emailed the final draft with the changes in there last week. And so this vote would be to send this up to the legislative council to see if they approve of the recommendations from the board. So if approved, I'll send the legislation up there in the next couple of days to our representatives. They'll send it over to the legislative council. If all the changes are approved in there, they'll sponsor the legislation and go as is. If they have some different changes, I would expect them to also send that.
So we need a motion to approve this election board
The
legislation.
amendments to the election board.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the amendments to the election board legislation.
I second it.
Madam Clerk? Any comments on that? Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
No.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is to appoint for the Wayne County Board of Health consumer or licensed nurse interested in promotion public health. Laverne Curry with the term expiring 12/31. Madam Clerk, I believe you spoke with her.
I spoke with someone with the health department and asked if they had anybody that they knew of. And they told me Stacy Harris. So I've reached out to Miss Harris and she is willing to serve.
And I think she works for the health department in,
She works like with a home health agency, I believe. She's a nurse with a home health agency.
okay.
Stacy Harris.
So I make a motion that we appoint her to this board, Ms. Stacy Harris.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is consider and approve Heart of Georgia RDC third-party member. I have had several people to look at, and one of them we talked to was Dawson Trapnell. He's willing to serve on this. He did get some paperwork on it and to find out what his obligations would be to be a part of this board, and he has accepted those, and I make a motion that we appoint Dawson Trapnell. Any discussion?
Is this person supposed to be a private citizen and also a business person?
Yes.
What business is Dawson
He has to own a business?
He meets all the criteria.
on?
Madam Clerk?
Got the only business.
I think you require Mr. Johnson to own a business.
Yes. We're calling it.
Oh, wow.
You know, so essentially the third-party member, which is a private city representative, is defined by the Economic Development Administration and the Federal Register as follows. Any senior management or executive holding a key decision-making position or that person's designee in any for-profit enterprise. With this definition, the private sector representative must be someone active in a business who has decision-making authority. A retired business person will not qualify. So you don't necessarily have to own a business, but you do have to fit one of these criteria.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
I called and talked to Dawson and I found out that we were talking, that they were considering him, to make sure that he understood the responsibilities, his roles and responsibilities. And he assured me that he did. So with that said, I'm gonna say yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
This is nothing against Dawson. I think it was an unnecessary appointment. No.
Next on the agenda, under new business, consider an approved beer and wine license for Van's Barbecue. We had nobody against that approval. The only thing that I would ask Madam Clerk, has he met all the criteria for this license?
Yes, he has.
He has. Okay, so I'll open the floor for a motion to accept.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept.
Okay. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Thank you. Item B under new business, consider and approve policy and procedure for compensation of volunteer firemen. We had I don't know if anybody's really taken the lead on that. Richard's not here, but we spoke a lot about that today. And what this is we really have not had a policy and procedure in place for these firemen to be qualified for any compensation or anything like that. And I think he wrote the procedure up. We have a procedure in place so that we can either qualify them or let them know what qualifications that they need to have to become or continue to be a volunteer fireman.
They just had something verbally, and we wanted something in writing.
That's right. And that way they can go through the file, look at their file and see when there's a certain number of meetings they have to attend, there's a certain number of calls they have to attend, and they also have to have their qualifications. I think it's 80 hours, and they have to at least complete 40 hours of that. I had spoke about this earlier about giving them some compensation because of the ISO that we have been looking at here lately. It's been about 2 or 3 years. I think Commissioner Thomas and I have looked at this before in setting up these, I call them satellite stations. They just call them additional volunteer fire stations. And what these will do is adequately provide services to the areas that don't have coverage right now. This will not cover all of them, but I feel like that this compensation, it works up to be about, I'm going to say $39,000 with the number of volunteer firemen we have now. We just got through with an agreement with the city that costs $360,000, and that's for 6 firemen full-time. I think this is a small price to pay, especially since we have had an influx of people moving from the city out into the county, and we need to provide coverage for those people. And this will, the more volunteers we have, the more volunteer fire stations we have, will provide coverage for them and cause their insurance rates to go down. So I make a motion that we pass this compensation and the policy and procedure.
I second.
Question. Mr. Chairman, we talked about this at length, and we know that that sooner or later, we're gonna have to have our own fire service. We're gonna have to have our own and work toward that end. I honestly do believe that $300 every 6 months, or $600 a year, is not enough compensation for people to take time away from their family. And if we require these volunteer firemen to go get training, you can't ask them to pay for their training as well. And we need to compensate them. They need to get a per diem, and they need to give them mileage, because they're taking time away from their family and their job. So I think we need to revisit the compensation and come up with something a little more comparable.
I agree. I mean, I talked with Richard today, but I think this is a good starting point. Right now, in the years previous, the last 2 years, we have given them a portion of the ARP money, and I agree. I mean, as valuable as they are to us, and us not having to staff a full-time fire department, they are very valuable, but I think this is instrumental in starting that process, and if we decide we want to change it later, we can certainly do that, because I spoke with Richard with EMS today, and he said a lot of these firefighters, some of them are retired, some of them just love to help Wayne County. I mean, just like everybody here, y'all all love Wayne County, or you wouldn't show up to this meeting to hear what's being said and how the county is run. And I think these people are the same way. He spoke of some of them going out doing CPR on victims and things, on people that have had issues before the ambulance or any other help could get there, and possibly saving a life. And I agree with you 100%. These people need to be compensated. I said it 3 years ago, but I think if we implement this policy and procedure first, we can definitely look at raising this amount of money. And keep in mind, we do also pay for their retirement.
Right. And I think, Mr. Chairman, at one time, we had quite a few young firefighters, volunteer firefighters. And I do recall that because I was at the high school then as assistant principal, and I know we had quite a few young fellows that were volunteer firefighters, and they took a lot of pride in that, especially when you have to put the lights, the siren on the truck. I think that we need to recruit younger people in order to have some kind of sustainability of our firefighters. And I agree that we need to approve some compensation, but I think we need to give them a little bit more than what, we want some young people as well. I'm retired, 38 years. They come back to high school, they got to pay me.
So I agree. We're about to, 3 new volunteer stations have been approved. And if we're going to man these stations, they have to be compensated. I'm very much in agreement with Commissioner Thomas. I'd like to make a motion that we table this until next meeting and that we approve the compensation.
Sure.
Okay. Do we already have a motion on the
Yeah,
table?
you do.
So we need to go ahead and vote for that, and then.
You can rescind it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can rescind my motion, and then we can.
Rescind my second, because we spoke at the same time.
Right.
So yes.
Okay, so I'll rescind my motion, and we'll go with Mike's motion. And anytime y'all have something like this, please call me, and we can get this set up, and maybe, if you have concerns or things like that, we can get it all so that we're all on the same page when we get here, and I know the concerns and things, because I'm 100% with you. These are the people that do these jobs. I have some family members that are volunteer fire in other areas, and we'll be there at Christmas, and they have their radios on Christmas Day with them, and they're ready to go to respond to these things. And, okay.
All right, I need a second for that, to table it.
I'll second it. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
You still listening?
You can change it to Commissioner Thomas. I had to rescind my motion, so. Anyway, but I do want to get this taken care of as quick as possible so we can start getting these men and women the compensation that they deserve. So, Madam Clerk, if you would put that on under old business for our next meeting, please. Next item on the agenda is consider and approve turf planter to level soccer and baseball fields. I believe that would be Mr. Eccles. Do you want to make your way up here to speak to us?
Yes, sir.
I think he's already spoken to several of the commissioners on this item. Don't be shaking everybody's hand. You're gonna have to hug the sheriff.
I know, a couple of y'all came out there. I know Mr. Hickok, y'all did come out there, and seen, the fields. You know, they in pretty bad shape. I know when Mr. Hickok was out there, it was raining. The outfield's, kind of spongy, and we got some water issues due to the, unleavening of the fields. To my knowledge, this thing ain't been in about 10 years. So we really due for this process to happen. I know on the soccer field, that's a one-time thing. Like I said, we had a lot of rain this fall. We played soccer out on that thing, and we still got footprints out there now. We got to come off and clean that. But like I said, this is a one-time deal. All we got to do is provide the sand for the fields. But other than that, it's more of a safety issue. And you've got them lips out there, the balls are bouncing everywhere. Like I said, it's something that needs to be done. It's just been done years ago. But it's now coming to the ground to really resolve the problems out there. So,
For people who are more like me, that don't quite understand, I went out there and thought it was just shaving a grass edge. So please, because this is a big bid, so please give a little more explanation of what that process is.
Well, basically, it's shaving the edges off the field, because when the wind and constantly drag them, you're going to build a lift up on your field. And then, the wear and tear on your fields, you come back in, you have to retill your fields up to that level with a laser grader. So you actually have a smooth surface all the way through, infield and out. So, you're smoothing everything out there. You really get rid of all the little potholes and everything. We just don't have the equipment to do it.
So what happens to the water?
It'll go, the water should go away in the sand. When the field are sanded, it'll sink through like give it some work to go, because it ain't been aerated enough, and they're gonna do all this for us. So the infield, you shouldn't have no rain out games on it. You should be ready to play ball within an hour.
How often is our fields used? Rented out, tournaments, how often are, generally, I'm not gonna hold you to it.
Well, I'd say probably 15, 20 times a year. With our tournaments that we have, then like I said, we play ball on it 4 months out the year. And then, they travel ball, they practice every day. Middle school is playing a game on it right now. Middle school uses our facilities also, so, we steady out there on them. So we rent it out or use it quite often. So, like I said, we start practicing the rec ball end of this month. And we'll be on there all the way until June. So.
Is this the only company that
That's the only
does
company
this?
that does it. Like I said, they do a lot of high schools around here. Matter of fact, the guy, they working in Pierce County right now. We doing their fields over there, high school and rec fields. And like I said, this guy even does the Masters. He works on the greens at the Masters. This guy knows what he's doing. He's got the machine to do it with, and all we got to, like I said, provide the sand. He do the rest. So.
Back on, I never asked you this question. If I did, I don't remember the answer. The lip is where the outfield meets the infield.
Yes.
If you shave that lip off, you're doing away with the grass as well, right?
Just a little bit, about 2 foot of the grass, all you do it. And that when they come back in and fill your field up, that'll be clay. So your infield will be a little bit bigger. All you're doing is cut that lip off,
Then when that water is on that clay, it will run to the grass, it will run off like it's supposed to. It won't puddle up because you can't get over that lip, you know what I'm saying?
And there's nothing that states that infield or outfield has to be certain dimensions.
No. We got a 200-foot field, and like I said, we play multiple sports on it, softball and baseball, and you got different base, feet on it, so but everything will be up apart. It'll be the same. So you're not adding no clay to it or nothing. You're not adding nothing but sand to the outfield. And I think I talked to Commissioner McQuarrie the other day about, you've been trying to get this company to help sand Hall Richardson over there, because it's in pretty bad shape too over there, because they got a wet spot over there. And this usually eliminates your wet spots, because that sand will soak that water up and have somewhere to drain.
Are they gonna have to come look at Hall Richardson at that ball field?
I could probably, when it gets here again, I can get in the ride over there and look at it, but usually when they sand it, they don't have to look at it. They know what to do right there off the bat. So all we got to do is get the road department, give them, buddy, and see how many loads of sand we need for that field, and they'll bring it, and they'll direct it. So.
I know we're looking at a square footage here, 30,000 square feet of field area. Is that prorated by the square foot, or the damage that's already done to
That's
the
the damage
field?
done to the field on the soccer field out there. Like I said, it's one complete field, on one end where it's just wet down there. And this is eliminating the whole problem. Just like I said, the soccer field, it's one time deal. We won't have to come back and do this again. It'll be done.
So is this time sensitive, or what I would like to have is a quote for the field over at Hall Richardson, so
Okay.
that we can do them all at the same, because
Okay.
I would assume this is a big company and they want to come in and do them all. I mean, and if it's based on.
Probably what he'll do, the commissioner right there with the, because all you have to do is, it'll probably about $2,000 to do Hall Richardson. But all you're doing is the number one up top of the page. All you're doing is scoring it and sanding.
Is there time to do this before season?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like I said, we can't do soccer field until the spring, till the grass starts growing. So, when he planes that thing off, you gotta have your grass grow back. So there, he promised that everything will be done for soccer season, which we don't start soccer till October anyhow. We'll probably start that thing in April when that grass starts, coming back spring. But I figured, Kevin, about $2,000 to do a field over at Hall Richardson, the standing area and all that. So
You good with that, Commissioner
Mr.
Thomas?
Chairman, all due respect, in the future, I would like you to include me on stuff like that, because once we finish with the new senior citizen building, we're gonna redo that area. We got some plans, we're gonna move the basketball courts, make sure that they're concrete instead of asphalt that's cracking up. So we talked about revitalizing that whole area, and,
Well, I just figured when we had the company here, we could do them all at one time. I don't think we're moving the ball field, are we? It's gonna still be in the same location?
We're not moving it, we might modify it a little bit.
Right. Well, I'll let you
Also,
make
we're
the
gonna try
decision.
to integrate a walking trail over there too, since the citizens gonna be there. We're gonna have to make Hall Richardson more accessible to everybody. We got a lot of senior citizens over there, and that's what we're looking for. As a matter of fact, with the senior citizen building, the region is talking about, the senior citizen they got, and I can't remember what county it is. They got a big tricycle thing they can do that's gonna really get them excited about it. So we're just trying to, get some things to keep you interested.
So do you not want to put that on here?
We go ahead and use it.
Okay.
I go with, respect recommendation, he's the expert. And he's always, had our Richardson, we always on the same page.
And so, do we have a total for this?
I think the total will be around 37. They all added up together. So, and then what you're going to put a little bit more in it, because you're going to add Hall Richardson to it, but what it'd be about 37 too then, probably. So, yeah. So like I said, you just broke it down, how we had to do it, because like I said, this thing is going to be done in phases. It's not going to be done all at one time.
So we're looking at 39?
No. I'm just saying, if this thing gets approved, he'll do it in phases. He'll probably come cut the lips. But you can't do the soccer field until last, so he'll do it in phases, you know what I mean? And we can do Hall Richardson anytime. We can just do that anytime we want. We don't, I don't want.
Yeah.
37.6.
And then
So
you
it'd be
add
39.6. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, also, Spec is up there, I want to also interject this, that revitalization and a lot with the walking trail, and I'm glad that the person's here. If we can get the city, we can get the mayor to give us that little road that's supposed to be 3rd Street, they don't use it, you know, and I was told at one time they'd be willing to give it to us, so we need to do that.
I think we have to bring that up at the city council meeting.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Letting it see, okay?
Throwing you under the bus. All right, so I make a motion that we go ahead with this turf planter so that we can get these taken care of, especially right now while we have time and we'll have time to grow back
That's right.
and get back
You sand
in
it back
proper
in, the grass
shape.
will come back through and all that, because like I said, I don't know if y'all seen that fall there, so it's getting greener out there now, so.
So we're gonna make it 39.6, so if you go over that, let us know.
Okay.
Before.
Yes.
Any more comments? Madam Clerk? Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you for the hard work you do in trying to keep those ball fields, because I know they stay rented. I've seen,
Oh, yeah.
there's a
Lot
lot
of
of
wear and
people.
tear on them.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's exactly right. All right, next item on the agenda is, what was that, slab?
He gave me 5.
Next item on the agenda, and he's already on his way up here. To consider and approve the bids to construct light and mark parallel taxiway at airport. Okay. That's right. Yeah, much Did you bring Mr. Jeffrey with you? Is he gonna be there? No, we will. No.
Moral support.
Basically got the money from under one. Okay. All right, so basically these two items that we have here for the parallel taxiway and then the perimeter fence are basically under the same grant monies that we have listed on here, and our bids came in over what we were expecting. Do I need to read each bid out?
We've all got a copy of it. Let me get turned to mine. I did have a couple of questions, and if you want to read them out, that's fine, for transparency to the community.
Sure, I got, for the parallel taxiway, I got APAC and the bidder, and these aren't necessarily a particular
Hold
order.
on, give everybody to it.
I'm looking at $1,832,050. I got, second on mine would be J Hires. He come in at $1,017,778.62. Scrubs came in at $1,199,524.11. And Sykes Construction come in at $1,216,022.50.
Okay. And the portion of this, we have, I believe, 1.2 million in grant money.
To cover, this was just, this is only the parallel taxiway that I read out to you guys.
Right.
So we have 1.2 $2 million for both of these projects.
Okay. And the first one, the lowest bid is $1,017,000.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's just for the taxiway, that's not including this fenced-in area for security and whatever else travels, that I know it's not gonna keep birds off of there.
Right.
So is this a high fence?
It is 6 foot with 3 strands of barbed wire, which is basically the standard fence they put around airports. And that's to deter unauthorized vehicles, pedestrians in the wrong place. It does deter wildlife to an extent.
Not deer. They'll clear that.
Right, but generally, when they get in there, they gotta get out, and we've had, I'll put this out there, we've had people with, hunt permits that DNR has given us, and it does cut down on the population, but it's an unfenced area. We've had deer strikes out there with aircraft involving deer more than one time. But we do have very expensive aircraft that come in there. It would be very expensive. It's part of the process of trying to develop this airport into a regional airport, and these are really the final tasks to get us there. We've been working on this since 2002, and we've been getting it at little bits, as we can get funding. And so we have a better opportunity now than I've ever seen. I've been a part of the airport out there for about 18 years, but I've been flying out of there for about 25. It's going to increase our safety and increase our funding for the airport if we get from the federal government as well. Because changing the class of airport we are. Actually, I kind of read all that together, but it's really
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, is what's the benefits to having a regional airport?
The state of Georgia came out back in early 2000, in work in the 90s, to have a regional airport capability within 50 miles of every citizen in the state of Georgia. And that process, there's many airports that have gotten ahead of us that are already there. And we're kind of, hopefully we can get it done.
What's on the end of 290?
Okay, that's going to be an approach lighting system. That is a blessing, because when you come in there and it's foggy, you've got to at least get those lights in sight before you can land and come lower. And that protects those lights from damage, vandalism to an extent.
Did you have a copy of the bids for the fence?
I do.
Okay. We didn't get a copy of that.
Yeah,
This
it's
is kind of
under, it's under,
I
the
saw.
airport crew E.
It just kind of explains. All right, so this is, I don't know if you want me to.
And we may need to wait on this, because I don't know why we have it in 2 different sections in here. I think
Oh, it's 2 different agenda
Yeah,
items.
2 items, 2
Yes.
different items. I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, I guess we need to go ahead and approve this, but what you were telling me was this has to be approved first. We obviously are not going to have enough grant money to do both projects if this one takes up the majority of that grant money, correct?
Correct, but we have received additional funding, which was discretionary funding. And Mr. Jeffrey probably could explain that a little better about what the process is to actually get to where you can get discretionary funding. You have to basically have to cross and shovel road. Jeffrey Griffith was the DFT, which is representative of
The additional funding is coming from the state. It's a state and local grant that will be combined with the parallel taxiway. Parallel taxiway will be 90% federal fund, 5% state fund, 5% local fund. Now, the fencing part will be 75% state, 25% local.
Okay. But we have to have the taxiway in place.
That taxiway is the first thing that has to be.
Okay.
We've already started on it, it needs to be completed, but we're starting on it.
And all this started in, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The difference in the fence is the security fence is standard funding for the FAA. If you go with the wildlife fence, you've got to have a wildlife study done, you've got to have documented strikes, you've got to prove the additional money. And then they have the discretion of saying, we'll fund the additional amount, or we won't fund the additional amount. The security fence, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, that's going to count as additional funding. Most of them are queuing, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, golf carts, people. You're right, the deer that want to get over, are going to get over, but you're going to keep a lot of your smaller wildlife off of it. There's nothing you can do about that. The birds are the biggest problem for me,
Okay.
Richard, lighting on 2-9, is that VFR2 or just IFR?
You can use it either way. It's what it does, helps you align with the runway, let visibility, but actually, when you click the light, your radio frequency 7 times, all the lights come on down there. We've had it for years, we've really protected it. We've had to do some repairs on it and different things, but not near the had to do so far.
What's the time frame on completion of this runway?
This could get done this year. If we can get the approval, we can get this thing this year.
And the fence too?
We could.
We did all that at once.
And this whole process started in 2002?
Yes, sir. And I've been dealing with it since 2008.
Well, I personally think, having our airport upgraded is going to help Wayne County. We've got new businesses coming in, we've got CEOs associated with these businesses. We've got people that will come and look at different areas and stuff, and they want to fly in, and they don't want to drive in. So I think it's going to help Wayne County in the growth. This is my personal opinion.
Mr. Chairman, he's done a fantastic job of getting the airport where it is, and where it came from. And as a matter of fact, he's pretty shrewd too, because if you go out there and sit at the airport one day, you would be amazed at the amount of traffic coming through there. And it's a local secret, he keeps the fuel prices low, and people will come in and fuel up before they go to Florida, but I ain't telling about that.
We make money on the
So the only thing I have is the local share will change. Madam Clerk, maybe you can, Miss Administrator, I guess is what I call you now. That difference in the money, are we gonna have to amend the budget to include that, or what are we gonna need to do that in this same motion, or how do we need to handle that?
Let me actually look at the budget and then get back with y'all, and we may just have to do a budget amendment at the next meeting.
So we can go ahead and approve this?
Yes, and then do a budget amendment.
Mr. Chairman, we can go ahead and approve this, because that's the first phase. When you get to the other part, the discretionary, then we can go into that and see what it's gonna be.
We can apply for those other grants.
That's right.
It's already sitting there waiting for you to approve.
Well, I want to make sure we're not approving something that we don't have it in the budget for, so. But we can go ahead and make the motion to approve this contingent upon the approval from the amending of the budget. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
No, we're not voting on the second part, right?
No, this is just the first part, yes. And the first part's the part that we have to amend the budget for, correct?
It's the total project.
The total project.
Okay.
The first project is really,
Okay.
is covered by the budget for this fence, because this taxiway project is going over $900,000 is what we allotted.
Right.
We're going over, me going over, it's just the fact of how much the thing costs to construct it, and that's going over by $118,000, $117,000.
local share is $311,366 an increase of $124,962.54.
For all of
For
it.
any-
For all of it.
That'll get it all.
So we need to make a motion on both of these, that we will amend the budget whenever necessary, whatever we need to do. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And I would like to add in one thing, a lot of these changes are because of inflation, and that's the reason that these are, I know, I talked to Mitch today, and the quote he got to start with was much lower, but if you put these off, we may be even farther in the hole than what we are now.
I wish I could get this price for the fencing on all the other roads I'm working on.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'm staying price.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's our consultant that we hired and are required to hire by FAA to administer these grants. He keeps up with all the paperwork, keeps up our truck.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Hey, man. Watch it. But, Mr. Chairman.
If you will, come up to the mic, please. Thank you.
Usually the last thing I need is an amplifier. I'm from South Alabama. People usually can hear me.
Yes.
But the prices, as Jeff said, that we got on this was almost $10 a foot less on the fence than what we've seen in other places. I did another project within a 50-mile radius the same day we did this, and it was $35 a foot, and this is $24.95 a foot. So, I appreciate y'all having faith in Mitch and the airport, and as you say, these prices, we're not seeing them anywhere. But I had the contractor actually call me, usually in a case with that big of a difference, I'll call the contractor and go, "You sure you didn't miss something?" That's a big difference. And he actually called me when he got back to the bid, and he goes, kind of concerned me a little bit. He said, "But we've gone back through our bid and we are comfortable with it." So by approving it all, you're saving about $170,000 on total cost that I have no doubt if you did it later, you would have ended up paying that, if not more, just depending on what steel prices were.
Okay.
So
with that said, the next item on the bid is the we've already covered that, sorry, and I brought up comments.
I'll have a contract with all the people.
Sir?
I'll have you a contract. Thank you for staying. We don't see the light. Thank you, sir.
And now that they're gone, we'll address the bid for the airport perimeter fence. No, that was the first one for the taxiway and the lighting and all of that, and this is the next item on there. We just got through discussing the savings that we're gonna have on this, Right, yep. So can I get a motion on the airport perimeter fence? Any more discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is special event permit for Hospice of South Georgia. Do we have anybody here? Okay. So this special event permit is like all the others that we have, is for beer and wine only.
But I think she needs figures on the table.
Okay. Yeah. Because we need to make sure, okay. Then since she's not here, I'll make the motion that we table this and put it under old business in our next
Who's supposed to be
agenda.
here, Amanda?
Highland McGregor.
Ray, okay. I'll talk to him.
Any more?
Well, I had talked to her and told her about coming before the board, so she knew she was gonna have to come before the board.
Who's on the house board?
Any more comments or discussion? Madam Clerk?
I say we wait till then. Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
And we are gonna put that under old business. The next item on the agenda is resolution to put term limits on a referendum on the ballot so the public can vote on that. I think we had all had an opportunity to look at that. The legislation that we sent up, we had the state speakers and the senator had some issues with it, and that's why we were looking at putting a referendum out so the taxpayers can decide if they want to put term limits on the commissioners that are either, if ours will start at a later date, some of them will, some of them won't, because it's going to be 3 4-year terms. And that's why we want to put it on a referendum, because I think one of the commissioners had a question about the voters being able to vote in or vote out whoever they wanted to. And I felt like we just need to give them the option on a referendum. This will be on the November ballot, and that will also hopefully be when we have our SPOS. Anybody want to make a motion that we put the resolution?
I'll make a motion.
I will second it.
Question?
Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, as your ACCG representative, at-large commissioner, represent the whole state, I did research, as I presented in the last meeting. There's only one county in Georgia that has term limits, Territory County, which was invoked by the governor in '88 after a lawsuit between the counties, between the municipalities. They put it up for a referendum again in '04, I think, and it was narrowly voted in. Just last month on in the Region Commission meeting, the chairman of Territory County has joined the Region Commission forward, and he says that they get ready to try to put that back up for referendum. And he said since it's passed with a small margin, he's saying that it's not going to pass again. They're going to vote out. And I think he was one of the ones that didn't want to say.
I spoke to the representative of Chillicothe County. They admit that they have a problem with it. They're limited to 2 4-year terms. They think that's too short. Ours is 3 4-year terms with 2-year terms in between. So our resolution would be looking, depending on when the commissioner comes in. He comes in with a 2-year term. He's looking at 18 years to serve. He comes in with a 4-year term. He's looking at 16 years to serve. I think that's ample for him.
Well, I was challenged by Chairman Cleary to go to my constituents, people in my district, and ask them what they felt about this. And I've been doing that today, and I was doing it last Friday. And I've called a lot of people, I've met people. The communication that I'm getting back from my constituents is that's not a priority for me. What a priority is lowering the taxes. Talking about what's going to happen with the courthouse, about the safety thing, the quality of life, community center, pools, that's the kind of things that they said. This term thing really was not a priority to them. And the last person I talked to, gave you her exact words: "If you don't do your job, Tim, I will vote you out." So I did what you asked. That's the response that I've gotten from 10 different people.
Not one of them had communicated to me that they're for this term.
Well, and I think that's why we want to put it on a referendum, so that everybody has the opportunity to voice their opinion, whether they want them or not. And if they don't vote for it, I'm good with it. At least we gave them the option, because I've had several people that have talked to me and have had concerns about it. I realize other counties may not have it, but we do have some of the longest running county commissioners ever in the state of Georgia. And,
One.
Okay, just one then.
So y'all don't need to worry about it.
That's right. Well, and it's not as a pun to you. I'm not gonna say how old you would be if this did pass, if it did affect you, but either way, I think that there's no harm in putting it on the ballot so that the voters can make that decision, and we don't have just a few constituents, which I do listen to my constituents and what they want. And by putting it on there, I see no harm in letting them decide what they want. So I make a motion that we pass this resolution. We already got it?
No.
Okay, well, I make the motion that we pass the resolution. We do?
Yeah, we do.
Keep me straight. All right, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Hopkins,
No.
Commissioner Thomas,
No.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is consider and approve the tax appeal. I think Mr. Beaver has some information on that, and we've all been given the same information, if you would.
So there was a tax refund requested on behalf of parcel 56-5-1. The property is in the name of Robert L. Cerncy, I believe. He's passed away, and from what I understand, the executor of the estate approached the tax assessor's board about getting a refund on part of the taxes, and the issue was basically that there was an additional structure that was added to the tax bill that did not actually exist on this parcel. And the tax assessor's board actually voted to give him a refund. That was sent across the hall to our tax commissioner to issue the refund check. When she started looking at everything, she realized that he was entitled to actually more of a refund, but she doesn't have authority to issue the checks without the affirmative vote of the governing authority. So our tax commissioner was requesting, if y'all find it acceptable, yes, would be the word to say, that y'all would vote to allow her the ability to refund the estate of Mr. Cerncy the amount of $1,846.54 additional, which is additional to what the tax assessor's board had authorized. $1,846.54. Well, there so what was even taken away from that number, that'll be the amount of refund. However, he'll only get the check for the 16, the number you just quoted, which I think is $1,660. He'll only get that amount of the check because the other 185, the difference there, 185.42, will actually go. There was some unpaid portion of the 2022 taxes, so we're going to satisfy that.
And that's required by law, correct? That they take that portion out before.
Yes, you have to satisfy the current, or you have to satisfy all the taxes for a refund issue there. But the refund amount itself is actually $1,846.54. So
I want to make a motion that we approve a check for the amount of $1661.12 to Christy Cerncy and to satisfy her 22 debt for tax.
I second it. You got it.
just a quick point. I think technically the check would need estate of Robert Searcy unless the property is invested in her name through probate or some sort. But and I didn't do a title search on the property, but the last I saw the property was still in his name, so the proper procedure there, and I think you tell me that Mr. Kay was the executor of the estate, so it would need to be made out to the estate of the body, unless it's been vested in her name since then. I would think to help the tax commissioner out, that we would need to change it to proper, and probably need to go ahead and authorize the full refund amount and let her take that chunk out of there instead of saying that the check is for $16.61. I would authorize the refund amount of $18.46.54.
I'll make the motion that we authorize the tax commissioner to write a check for $18.46.54 to the estate of Robert Searcy, and to satisfy the debt of 2022 taxes in the amount of $185.42. By recommendation of the tax commission.
I second that. Any discussion? Madam
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
The next item is items with the county commissioners. We can go ahead and do that before we go into executive session. Commissioner Thomas, do you have any items?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I don't. Just an update on where we are with the senior citizen building, maybe from administrator.
I've received an email and I'm waiting for I think it was the architects to go out there and get some information for the contractor who's going to be Carter Watkins and Associates. So we're waiting on that. Elton Aspinwall was getting with Brennan Purcell and all. They were getting that information together.
Then it'll be ready to go out to bid.
Yes, Carter Watkins will handle that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Hopkins.
Sort of trivia a little bit, but one of my constituents brought when I was running for county commission about, he told me a story about there was a dad, looked like a dad and a son fishing on the bridge. And the dad got a bite, the son run across the bridge, and he almost hit the child. So I've asked our road department to have some signs about no fishing on bridges, and I've asked them to put it in my district. I would challenge it from everyone, the commissioners. We do have those kind of bridges. The last thing that we would want to, that makes me nervous when I drive by these bridges is somebody's fishing. I'm scared they're going to get a bite at the same time and just pull back and go a step back and start driving around traffic. So that's it. And the other thing was the playground at Manhattan. I understand that it's been taken care of, it's been painted, so I appreciate that. That's all I have for Commissioner.
I would like, I'm going to comment on that. Did you reach out to DNR and talk to them? Because a lot of times they have funding and stuff for signage and things like that.
Commissioner, we have enough signs already. We have signs.
Okay, to do the whole county?
Pretty much so.
Okay.
But they wanted to get y'all's permission, and I hadn't brought it to you, and I apologize.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Hickox.
Some good news. The week before last, there were 300 4th and 5th graders from Jessup Elementary School that came and toured the county courthouse, the county commission room, the city hall, a couple of businesses downtown. They had a walking field trip and learned an abundant amount about their county. It was I had a lot of feedback from grandmas that appreciate. The sheriff was involved, Judge Bennett was involved, the superior clerk was, she gave a tour too. It was a really, really good, impactful moment that I was glad that we as a county could be involved in. Another item, the tax assessor's office will have a class in this commissioner room tomorrow at 5:30. They will give out information on how taxes are assessed, how your property, the difference between a mass appraisal for government work and a citizen private appraisal for your individual house, how you come about arriving at your tax dollar amount should be extremely informative. The Facilities Authority has met. Their meeting date is the 3rd Wednesday of every month, right here in the meeting room at 3 p.m. They discussed security at the courthouse, they discussed a community center, they discussed fire stations throughout town. I think this authority will make great progress. If people would like to come to those meetings, you're welcome to come. If you would like to just have input, we have an email address. It's aboutwayne@gmail.com. Please reach out to us with your comments, your desires. Right now, when it comes to the community center, they were talking about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, something that we could afford, build onto, and be useful to all citizens of Wayne County. That's all I got.
One thing I'm passionate about, this is mainly for citizens of Wayne County, commissioners here, have heard me harp on this a lot. The thing I'm passionate about is also with a campaign promise, volunteer fire department. It's something that's been discussed in Wayne County for approximately 7 years. The last year, there were 3 departments that were approved. 2 of them were approved for District 1, 1 was approved for Tim's district. I can't say names right now, but there's been several people in Wayne County that donated property. There's one piece of property that we're looking to buy, but there's others that we're looking to be donated. Homes in rural areas. If you don't live in a rural area, you don't know about this, but homes in rural areas often have higher premiums on insurance, homeowners policies. Due to increased distances for emergency services like fire departments or fire hydrants. They have classifications, the insurance companies called ISO. The higher the ISO rating, the higher your premium goes. These volunteer fire departments will lower those ratings and also lower premiums for people living in rural Wayne County or the unincorporated area, if you will. We have ARP money that has been set aside for these 3 fire departments. Money will buy engines, will buy buildings, just a metal building put up with an engine and some emergency equipment. After speaking with our fire chief, we have more than enough emergency equipment to stock 2 stations conservatively. So this is something that's much needed for Wayne County, and I'm looking forward to getting this put to bed. One other thing is, prior to being a commissioner, I attended many meetings. During those meetings, I heard time after time during commissioner comments about Mr. Elton Aspley. I didn't quite understand what they were talking about. I do now. I tell you, he is my arms and my legs, and he's everything. I don't know what I'd do without him, but I appreciate Mr. Elton Aspley.
I just got one other thing to say, and I appreciate, Mike, your passion about this. So just so you get a feel what we're talking about, just in my area, there's 74 homeowners that will be affected. I've called the insurance companies. I said, okay, if we're in a 5-mile driving radius, it used to be just radius, but it's got to be a driving radius. So you're looking at anywhere from 25 to 35% of your insurance bill could be cut. So if you're looking at roughly you pay $1,000 a year, you're looking at some natural amount of savings for our taxpayers. So I think I want to commend my fellow commissioner there. He's doing a really good job, and we definitely want this for our people. It's the best thing for Wayne County. So thank you, Mike, for your passion.
I also want to commend him. I've been behind the scenes and I've seen Mike. He's going to have to start pacing himself because this is not all going to happen in a month. But I do appreciate the passion because this has been something that we've been looking at for 3 or 4 years and getting this implemented. And in the few months you've been in there, I've seen it. And Commissioner Hopkins also has been looking into it, trying to get something so that we can get some relief to these people, because we do have a lot of people that are coming out in the community, coming out of the city, no offense, Mayor, and going out into the county because they just prefer to live where they can get spread out a little bit more. But I do appreciate your passion on doing that. I also have the IDA, and I guess this is a question to make sure nobody has a problem with it. The IDA has a wetland. We've always heard it called a wetland, but this is called a wet island in the current industrial park that we are in. And Mr. Dale Keith was telling me about it. And this is a time-sensitive thing that needs to be taken care of, because apparently you can only have an open window for a certain amount of time. And what I was going to ask is make sure that nobody has a problem. If this island is approximately 1.5 acres, and we already have the road, the entrance road coming in to the new industrial park, and we're looking at 1.5 acres that will have to be mucked out. Everybody in here know what mucked out means? There's about 2 feet of dirt that's going to have to come out. The dirt is already on the property that will have to go back. But I just want to make sure nobody has an issue by asking them. I spoke with Mr. Elton and Buddy, and they feel like that that's something that they can take care of, because I think this is very important that we don't do anything to hinder the progress of our new industrial park.
So you think 1 acre wetland?
Sir?
It's 1 acre wetland?
It's 1.5 acres, and it's direct. I mean, part of it's on one side of the road and part of it's on the other side.
So dealing with EPD and those people, have they mitigated the other acre and have somebody else do this, what you have to do?
Yes, yes, they have. Yeah. Also, I would like to, we have commented here on, we want to raise the amount of money for the volunteer firemen. Do we want to talk about that during the work session? Because I would like to, Madam Clerk, Administrator, President, all of that, I would like to kind of get everybody's schedules to see when we can do a work session, possibly this week or the next week coming up. So, does anybody have any dates that are definitely out, or do you want me to just start calling off dates? Because we do need to have a work session sooner than later. I think.
Hey, next week would work better for me, because I've got a transit audit the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
I can all be out of town Wednesday and Thursday.
Do we
No,
have
Thursday,
three?
Friday.
So the next week would work better.
Should be Valentine's Day.
Yeah, let's have it then.
Facilities Authority is on the 15th.
How about Friday?
Friday,
Everybody loves it. No.
17th?
Yes, yes.
No, that's my first day of my outage. I'm
Okay,
gonna have to call in anyway, but I mean, that first day, but not when you do that.
okay.
That'll be Thursday, Wednesday.
And y'all have,
Next week, we're gonna be gone this Thursday and Friday,
oh,
not
okay,
next Thursday.
okay, all right,
What
so
about 13th, Monday?
I've got a Zoom meeting. Yeah, no, I've got a Zoom meeting at 10 o'clock on that day. Do we want to do afternoon? I know Commissioner Thomas is for that, but he's like me, he don't like to get up early in the morning.
I'm up 5:30 every morning.
Are you really?
All those years I did bus through, it's automatic. I think go back and take me a nap, I can have.
All right, so we want to do it on Monday, say at lunch or a little bit after. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that. 13th?
Yes, sir.
Good. What time?
We want to say 1 o'clock,
Okay.
Madam Administrator?
That's fine.
Okay, so 1 o'clock on the 13th, everybody's invited to come. We have several issues that we're going to be talking about, so,
In here?
yes, we'll have it in here.
So we do it at 12 o'clock and do a working lunch and you feed us.
Andy? Commissioner Thomas is talking to you.
I'm sorry.
So 1 o'clock. All right. Madam Clerk, we don't have it on here for administrator. Do you have any comments? Okay. So I make a motion that we leave to go to executive session. But we'll be back.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.